Hello and welcome along to another episode of the DePIN Coffee Hour. I'm looking a bit blurry today for some reason. Wasn't looking blurry before. Not sure what's going on there, but in any case, we'll crack on. Joining me today, I have Mariella from IoTex, Steve from Crust Network, and Paolo from Sending Labs. Hey everyone. Do I look blurry to you? I didn't look blurry before. I don't know. Anyways, it's weird. Technology. So yeah, look, this is our 12th episode and brought to you by Havelo, home of the 88% guaranteed APY if you stake your HVLO tokens on staking.havelo.com. All right, all that out of the way. Mariella, how's it going? It's been a while since I saw you on here, but what's going on with you and how's life?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited here, dialing in from Spain, so I cannot complain. The weather has been amazing.
Awesome.
So I've been enjoying the sun a lot, if you can tell from my skin tone. But yeah, we're also very excited and, also seeing the real life use cases, since I was last year, we had the big blackout, which I think DePIN comes to solve, and we'll probably touch back again. But yeah, excited. We're also launching new staking of Havelo and DePIN Scan, and very exciting news from IoTex with DePIN Scan. So we've been very busy. The markets are finally kind of, slowly coming back up. So very excited. And, having my coffee here with you guys, always happy to be with my coffee.
Good stuff. We've all got our coffees. Well, I have. And good man, Steve. Yeah, so that's exciting, all right, about us being on DePIN Scan. I have to say, you guys, IoTex are really impressive organization. I think it's so easy to work with you guys. The whole team, it's just made it. I feel like you approach things from let's make things as frictionless as possible. You know the way there's some companies where it's just like, oh my goodness, really, everything is just a challenge, that you have to solve at every level every time there's an interaction. With IoTex, it's like the opposite of that. It's just like friction free, So we're very excited to be on DePIN Scan.
Appreciate
you can
it.
stake your tokens there as well. That's going to be fun. So now there's two completely different ways that you can stake HVLO. One is through our own platform where it's not like a typical staking thing. You can put the tokens in if they're on Solana, and at the point of entry, your APY is guaranteed until that ends. And then with the IoTex one, it's more like traditional, where it's variable depending on how many people. So if you get in early, you can get lots of super nice yield, and then after that, it's down to whatever happens. But that's where the tokens are on IoTex chain. So we're multi-chain.
But multi-chain, you can do it. IoTex or any EVM will be compatible with DePIN Scan. But yeah, very excited, and very good point that you mentioned. If you guys are early, the more rewards you get. So if you haven't done it, go to depinscan.io and go stake your Havelo tokens. So the early, the more rewards you get.
Awesome. You touched on something that I'd like to just double click into a little bit, if you're up for it, and maybe we can all talk about it a little bit. Is this idea that, with all of the crazy blackouts and stuff that we've seen in Europe, centralized infrastructure, we're obviously all part of the decentralized family, I suspect here, or at least from an enthusiasm perspective, if not, at every level of our lives. What do you think about that? Do you think, is there a world in which DePIN, or decentralized networks can completely replace centralized networks? I mean, I know for us, we obviously have a number of different ones in Havelo, but we've also had people on the show that talked about solar and, there's micro electricity generation, etc. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think I want to start with a personal story of where I was in Token 24/9 in Dubai, right? So I wasn't in Spain when it actually happened, but I was talking with my in-laws because they were taking care of our puppy here in Spain. And it was really scary because they just said, oh, the internet is not working. I'm like, weird. We paid all the internet, everything, should be good. And all of a sudden I'm in a meeting and somebody says, Portugal is out of internet, same as whole Spain. And so we send them a text message, and that's our last communication with them. At this point, because no news or anything, we have no idea what's going on. And being that Europe has been a little bit pushy with, like, let's say the war narrative, we were really scared of, is this the start of a war? Is this something really big? Is this simply just a blackout, right? So we try to stay calm. Obviously, we're, working and, and talking 24/9, talking to other folks. But as an hour passes by and an hour passes by, you don't hear anything from the government. You don't hear anything from news. You cannot find anything. You start to get concerned, right? And I am a very DePIN person, so I have Starlink and everything, but I never thought I would have to have a backup energy system. Like, I used to live in Cancun and we got a lot of hurricanes, so I was fully prepared there. But I'm like, living in Europe now, I'm like, how am I going to get a blackout? No, I'm not going to need a generator and stuff like that. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, it was my remote. But yeah, anyway, so at that point, it's the lack of communication and also the lack of data. We are still not 100% aware of what went on. The government might say a certain story. Is that true of what happened? Oh, sorry, guys. I'm going to stop for a little bit. Maybe pass it on to, yeah, I think Paulo was also like in the Europe. So maybe you can tell your story and then I'll come back a little bit. Sorry about that.
No worries. Paulo, do you want to?
Sure. It's really interesting because obviously I'm a Portuguese born and raised, and I was here obviously, and it was very, very funny because I've been shilling the idea, especially because my family lives not in Lisbon, so they live in the district of Bragança, which is more rural area. So like the decentralization thing, it's more of a reality that entices more directly because it means that you don't have to drive like 40 to 50 kilometers just to take care of something that if you have an option where you can just access that, they would be more, very happy about it. And I actually was pushing for a lot of systems that don't depend on centralized governments, providing, like, for example, electricity and so on. So, everything was, kind of like just on a click of a button, just the 4G guys. Huge shout out to those Portuguese 4G guys. Nothing was working, absolutely nothing. I was like thinking all the things in my freezer were just about to go bad. Everything was just gone. But my parents, because they listen to their son, at least once in a while they do. And they said, well, yes, we're going to install some solar panels, some batteries and so on. So the off-grid stuff kind of helped them a lot. So they didn't really feel anything. So it was really interesting to really have this perspective. Me in Lisbon, just everyone was freaking out. Obviously, those city folks have no idea how to deal with these things. But now I can consider myself as well as city folk. But yeah, so it was very interesting. I just wanted to really pile on, but I would love to hear what Mariella had to say about like what was the whole experience.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to the ring bell. But yeah, anyway, yeah, coming back, this is a very good example then, right? If Paulo had the option to share his solar energy and stuff like that, which is where DePIN comes in, this would have solved a lot because you had whole cities that were incommunicated, the train stop and everything. So the point here is centralization, right? Since the grid was operated by a couple companies, centralized, this is where it flows, and this is where DePIN comes to help. I don't think DePIN can replace the whole centralized, it's not how society works. But if we work together, DePIN being a backup of two things, of, resources. So whenever something fails, we can tap into this other network. And two, also information, right? A lot of the things that happen is when they were restoring the energy, some city, even here in Spain, they'll come back for a little bit and then go out. This is because they didn't have enough data on how much energy they had to push through the grid, which you would think they would have, but they don't. And this is where DePIN comes to help. If we had, several sensors in different people's homes or different cities, we could have this data readily available, and the, coming back of energy would be way faster. But it took several hours because they had to, kind of, test and try a lot of things that could be solved with DePIN. So yeah, this is where I always keep pushing. DePIN is something that is needed. It's not, it's not an innovative idea anymore. It's something that the world needs, and we're starting to see it day by day.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Steve, whereabouts are you based in the world? Are you Did you have any exposure to any of this?
Yeah, so yeah, since we talk about this topic, so I want to share some story about us. So we doing this decentralized storage, and actually we if you go to the Ethereum Doc Center or Polygon Wiki, different like BNB Wiki or like a year Wiki, search for decentralized storage solutions, you will find us cross network. And I remember we have IOTEX have very old relationship when the IOTEX get launched and run your nodes, and we are one of your nodes in the very beginning. And so the story from my side is when we're doing launch our job, our project, we do think we can change something in the real world, can like leverage some existing business to go to the decentralized area. But after 0 rounds of the promotion, after 5 years, we already launched our project for 5 years. So we honestly, I think that quite not this time. I mean, if you want to substitute take a place of the real business, real world business, traditional business is not the time, I think. So the only thing I can share is like a couple of weeks ago, I get an email from the London police office. They just messaged me that there's the IS organization, the terrorist organization. They use our network to separate the terrorist training materials, some videos, something like this. So the decentralized storage items, you can imagine what kind of the material you want to store. Right, so right now only like the porn movies, right? And in the terrorist, this kind of the movies or videos or training materials, they want to use the anonymous systems. Nobody know who uploaded that. Nobody know who read that. That's the only very limited market. So right now, the decentralized world, decentralized infrastructure, really service for this kind of the people, very limited people. But anyway, I think that probably in future, like Marina just said, things will get better. There will be more and more facilities and the infrastructure be available in the future. Maybe by that time, yeah, there will be the chance for the decentralized world to serve for the centralized business. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the never-ending conversation in this space. Is like, do we want freedom of speech, for example? But then you have to be willing to accept a lot of people saying shit you don't want to hear, or do you want censorless, permissionless stuff because you feel that the world needs a check on power? But then, there's going to be bad actors who try to take advantage of that. It's a debate without any real answer, I think. So it just depends on, I suppose, whether or not you want to live in a society where there's more freedom, irrespective of the consequences of that, or you feel like someone in power should just take care of making sure the bad actors are properly policed. I don't know. Yeah. It's a really interesting subject. Marielle, you look like you're going to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's funny enough that blockchain technology is also kind of solving this if you think about it, because we have CK proofs, right? Which can help guide something. Obviously, we're probably far away from everything, but at least we can, prove that somebody's not a bad actor. Like blockchain technology at its core doesn't allow bad actors. If you think about how the tech work and how, Bitcoin system started and all of it doesn't allow bad actors. And so the tech can also help with this. So yeah, with CK proofs, we can, eventually get to a point probably where we know bad actors and, make sure that this is not happening. And also with AI, which I think really right now, that should be our focus at DePIN. How do we integrate AI so we can be reading all of this, data that's going on or anything. So at the point where this video was uploaded, AI already read it, already flagged it, and it's kind of, there's an alert. Don't store this. Don't, something like that. Obviously, this is a lot of technical work, but again, it comes to show how blockchain can also support this and create a safer ecosystem for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, unless the AI decides it wants to enslave us, then we're really in trouble.
That's why I always say thank you to my AI.
Yeah. I actually heard Sergey Brin, I think it's Sergey Brin, the Google co-founder on the All In podcast there the other day, and he was saying, like, actually it's funny now I don't know, this might be his sense of humor. But he was saying basically, if you threaten the AI, like if you say, no, listen, I'm gonna kidnap you if you don't give me a better answer, that it gives you better answers. But he said, but a lot of people feel funny about that. And I'm like, yeah, because they watched a couple of sci-fi movies probably, and yeah, they don't want to be enslaved. I certainly feel I'm very polite to the AI. Let's put it like that. Paolo, what's been going on with you?
Well, by the way, I hope my sound is better than when we had the sound check, to be honest.
Much.
So, wonderful. Well, with me, I think, everything is going great, to be honest. I like to, I've been in the market long enough where we're in this place where, things are not exciting, at least for mainstream or for, the exit liquidity, because these people, unfortunately, they will go through the exit liquidity phase, which is, lingo to you're going to lose money if you're investing without even knowing what these things even mean. This is part of it. I did it. Maybe you guys also went through it. So it's very exciting because then you can just, skip the nonsense and go the exactly things that really excites us. And I really love DePIN. I would compare DePIN to the peer-to-peer cash system of Bitcoin's white paper. I'd say that you'd have that community that really was behind, in terms of ideology, what it meant beyond the implementation, right? And I guess that this is something that really excites me because it seems that even people that have been around for quite a while, they don't understand that one of the pain points that solves a lot of issues that we had just discussed about or mentioned is the centralization factor on decentralized or distributed ledger technology. So, for example, we have blockchain. We have look at all these nodes operators, or look at all these validators, but they all use the same infrastructure of Amazon or Google, right? So it's kind of like, yes, if it is like that, it's a redundancy onto itself. So what's the point? Why don't you just use the centralized system, right? So I mean, DePIN really adds, puts back blockchain to where it actually matters. You have to have redundancy of, even geographically, like you need to have not just the need of because it's nice, but it definitely kind of like there's always going to be someone that disagrees with you, right? Either, politically, even like locally, not even like just generally, right? So, having redundancy is really a must. And I think DePIN really addresses that. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with game theory. And that's something that I've been really looking into study because, academically, I'm a geologist, so I studied paleontology, the evolution, and so on. And game theory was something that really adds on to the DePIN and what unlocks. So just like we could say that, okay, so blockchain and distributed ledger technology unlocks true exchange of value, right? You're not going to have a leech where, okay, there's always going to be leechers, right? But blockchain does not reward leechers, right? So it rewards stakeholders, right? So game theory essentially is a way for us to understand in nature where you have a complete decentralization of equal opportunity. So let's say that the first cells that developed like in the world, it was just that they had what they had. It was just the environment, right? It was equal for everybody, a little bit different geographically around the world. And game theory comes to a place where it tries to, and it shows that collaboration on an equal field, on an equal level, is always better than centralization. It's like it's in evolution. It's like in terms of evolution, it's a way that you can really see that even when you have the complete chaos, it tends to form a symbiotic relationship where if everything is as equal as possible, it tends to follow that direction. And the blackout just really followed that. What is the point of having such a big country? And by the way, Portugal is not a big country, but I'd say the Iberian Peninsula or even Europe. What's the point of a fire? By the way, this is the narrative: a fire in France, or something. First is the fire in southern France. Then it was like, oh, it was a power surge because it was more sunny, and then you have more, these renewable energies. So to me, I don't care about that, and people don't care about that. It's like, how can you reason with your customers, with your fellow countrymen and women? How can you say, oh, look, it's bad, it happened, but we have reasons. Like, yes, but you could have just not have it happen. There you go. So
Yeah.
it happens a lot. So, I spend my time really, this is just what's going on with me, just like kind of like studying these things, getting even more, the blackout was even, if there was even more reasons for me to be excited about DePIN, there was another one. And it just, kind of like just maybe just a last sentence, this was as sending network was getting into the last test net, which is always, exciting. Okay, now it's the main net. Now it's everything's going to get real. Everyone's going to be able to use it. And because we're into the communication, very specifically and catering to the communication side, we also had some problems around some European countries where during elections, some countries decided to censor some information. So it was a partial blackout of information. So it was very interesting because I suggested them to use sending. Obviously, there's other, and bless everyone that's trying to create a DePIN solution in the space. But they definitely work. It's not just a proof of concept. DePIN works. So I've been just enjoying these catastrophes because they are. But the people make people aware of the power of DePIN. So I've been just enjoying all of this. While the price action, Bitcoin has been getting a little bit of a price bump. But it's always nice to just ride the wave because you know where the end goal is.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think it's an interesting time. I mean, I kind of feel like if you look at the growth numbers for DePIN, I mean, you're right, it works, right? So, like at a proof of concept level, we've achieved that. If you look at the growth numbers forecasts, Masari have a report that they do, I think, every quarter.
Yeah.
They're saying it's 0.01% or something like that at the moment, or at the end of 2024, versus where it's going to get to. We've seen firsthand data, and I don't know, like you guys may all have firsthand data that the world can't see, but you can see internally. I'm especially looking at you, Mariella. But just because you guys are sort of, like IoTeX, so, but yeah, like our data certainly has been like up and to the right in terms of growth. Would you say that's something that you've seen as well in the space?
Yeah, definitely. I think us, especially being in the industry so long, even before DePIN was DePIN, it was really hard to get people to grasp the concept. A few years ago, I remember when I first started with IoTeX, I had to explain DePIN from like zero, and they were like, "Well, there's already solutions for that. Why would we move?" And last year, I think it was the greatest boom. People started actually paying attention. They realize it. And this year, with AI having so much and going so fast, you can see every new AI project or product coming in every single day. The infrastructure is not going to hold it, right? They don't have enough storage. They cannot grow enough, and AWS servers, for example, they need 6 months to build it, and like what, $2 billion, I think. And AI, eats them up like in 5 minutes, especially with everybody trying this new AI video and stuff like that. The only way that we're going to keep up with all the tech requirements of the world and with all the AI requirements of the world, it's with DePIN. Unless you can deploy mass infrastructure, that's how DePIN does it. Whether it's for computation, whether it's for security, whether it's for transparency, whether it's for storage. The only way to keep up with today's need is DePIN. And I think finally people are understanding it. Governments are understanding it. We're talking a lot with the European governments, the US government. They're finally grasping the need of this. Investors, normally Web2 investors who would say, oh no, there's Google and Amazon for that. There's, computational companies, Oracle and all of that. And now they're like, oh, no, wait, they're failing. Okay, we need a backup plan. Who's your backup plan? Here we are, right? DePIN. So we're very excited to see this shift. Again, it's a lot of pressure, I think, on us DePIN projects because we need to make things a little bit smoother. I love how you started, Neil. At IoTeX, we always try to make every process very smooth. At Web3, we've achieved that. Web2 is a very different use case, which we're trying to polish a lot. But I think every DePIN project also needs to think about this. We need to onboard Web2 users, Web2 companies, Web2 demand. And this should be our focus. This is our focus at IoTeX right now. We're trying to polish this process so that it's easier for everybody. But I think everybody in DePIN should also think of this, right? Web3 market is the size. And I think we notice that, especially with the markets going on, we need massive adoption for it to work. And I'm excited about this new stage. I think the DePIN projects that understand this will grow, and that will, will be kind of the next internet type of thing. The ones who think they can stay only on the Web3 side, to be honest, on my personal note, I don't think they're going to make it.
Yeah, I agree. But like, I will say that almost everybody I talk to on this show, at least, is in the same boat. I think we're all singing kind of from the same hymn sheet as far as, mass adoption. Got to get the normies in. We got to get everybody on their rant. Steve, you've been for a while, it sounds like.
Yeah, you know why? So I meet many entrepreneurs right now want to join this market, but honestly, what I saw is currently there are many hardware company, they want to say I am the DePIN, so to increase the sales volume, because they used to sell the hardware, and now they probably adopt some supply some blockchain system, BNB or Solana, say that we are DePIN. But I mean, this cannot solve anything if you current business selling the hardware, like the router, like the whatever television or something else, or hard disk. You cannot just either say you have blockchain system, then you are DePIN. That cannot solve anything. That cannot solve anything. So the biggest DePIN, project should be Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin not focused on the hardware itself, right? The second biggest DePIN project should be the Ethereum. Before, when Ethereum is POW, but it to the POS, the Ethereum, say bye bye to the DePIN. So the key issue is figure out the specific, the business areas criteria you need to solve by the blockchain system. Then find probably a machine or hardware to feed it. Not like I have a hardware and I want to say that as a DePIN. No, that doesn't make sense. That's my idea. Yeah, my thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, agreed. Hardware alone isn't really the network. It's all the nodes using the hardware, I suppose, that makes the network, right? So
yeah.
So just in terms of Crust, do you feel like now is the time? Because you said you've been doing it for 5 years, so obviously you've got a long lead in. You were probably a bit early at the start. Do you think it's the right time now, or?
You mean, especially for storage system. For storage, track not quite good. So for we Filecoin and us, the price not good. Maybe if you especially on asking about the token price or something like that, or this area, right? So I think once the ETH price get maybe punched to 5,000, then all the altcoin maybe get a chance. Different different tracks. Yeah.
So
especially yes.
Well, no, I wasn't specifically talking about tokens. I think tokens are sort of their own thing. I just in a more bigger business sense, because at the end of the day, all of these projects, all of us work for essentially a business, an organization that wants to grow, wants to play a significant role in things. I think it'd be fair to say, wants to maybe in some way be the change they want to see in the world. In a decentralized, make the world more decentralized, I suppose, would be the common theme.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like with technology, obviously there's somebody who has like great foresight and comes up with a great idea. And for whatever reason, it's just a little bit too early. Like the original guys who started Tesla, for example, or Google with their Google glasses. It was just too early. The technology wasn't there for it yet. So I suppose what I'm wondering is from somebody who's been in the space a while, like yourself, like do you feel like the timing is better now, maybe than it was at the start?
Yeah, the timing should be better than years before, but I think but another way, another side. So the timing is better now because more and more people join to the Web3 this industry, and but But however, more and more, entrepreneurs also join, different, very strong teams also join. So, 5 years ago, so we only need to, when I try to find out our competitors, it's very difficult to find out competitors. But right now, you can find many, many competitors right now. So all the Web3, Web2 companies like Google, like Apple, they will, have some separate team, independent team to join this game, this industry. Yeah. So you will find more and more strong persons right now. Yeah,
double-edged sword.
Yeah. But I mean, they still have the chance. So but anyway, still have the chance. Like if people like want to do the layer 2, I mean maybe 3 or 5 years ago, everybody can do some layer 2, right? But right now, if you still want to go on layer 2, maybe not a good idea. I think. Yeah, you need to still. Very specific target market. You need to narrow down and find your business opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, there's still people building layer 1s at this stage.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, right. So you can imagine.
Like, yeah. Anyway, okay. Paolo, what's going on with Sending Labs? Are you guys? You said you're nearly at what you call it? Mainnet. Sorry, brain fart. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. I was just stuck on testnet in my head. Have you gone live on mainnet? Has that actually happened yet, or is it still?
Not yet. We want to make sure that if things go wrong, it's because of our own incompetence, not because of any external factor. We really want to make sure that we're working with node runners, we're working with our partners, so we can make sure that obviously the timing is everything. Sometimes we discuss here, like, is it a better time, technologically speaking. I'd say yes, by the way, just to add on top of it, and this is our philosophy, just so you understand. We also have a physical product, because obviously it cannot be on the communication side, like the way we approach, we want to create kind of like similar to a layer 0. So and we do have, by the way, we always love to make ourselves compatible with storage solutions or with other DePIN, because at the end of the day, I do also appreciate a lot of what Cosmos has going on, which is the Internet of Blockchains. I do believe DePIN is not just going to be TCP/IP protocol. I do believe that there's other ways to do it, and there's a few guys at Harvard that really are rewriting TCP/IP protocol. So we want to create kind of like a parallel to that, at least to kickstart something of a change like that. So we worked with Qualcomm and we came up with a prototype in around 3 months with everything already. We showcased it at DevCon last year. So obviously this is the time for it. It's always a time for it. I think DePIN has been having a lot of ways to be implemented. I just say that it's become more accessible in terms of even price and mass manufacturing of devices. So we're just really getting everything ready for deployment. Then you have all the bureaucracy, which is the self-imposed industry bureaucracy regarding listings and so on, because this is the problem sometimes where I see that projects miss the forest for the trees, which is you have to address it, but you have to be very careful with it and not lose track of what you're doing. So you still are not just another project / token that you're going to be just deploying. Whatever happens, and then you're going to launch the next one, which I've seen even in DePIN. I'm just going to do a shout out, because I've actually personally met a lot of engineers. For example, HoloChain. You guys remember HOT last cycle? Yeah. The guys what they were doing is very similar to what we initially tried to do, which is their approach with the router. We also have a router, so we were inspired a lot by those guys. But they definitely did not take the hot price. It was inflated a lot. The guys had amazing bull run. I made a lot of money with those guys as well. Just riding the market, but they did not take it as an opportunity to really kickstart, to prepare for the next generation of what they envision to do. So I think this is what we're doing. We don't want just to be another company, another experiment, another case study to see, okay, another project for us to be inspired and to have the next one actually achieve what we want to achieve, which is at the end of the day just the best way for you to have information be relayed from point A to point B without your ISP, or to make it very difficult for anyone besides you to delegate where your data is being allocated to. So this is something that we're taking it very much to heart. And but essentially, taking care of. I'm also taking care of all the listing nonsense, and then the politics. Oh, is it hard to list on Binance? You have to know person A and then the person B, and then you have to pay whatever. And then there's Mike, and now you have to take care of Mike. Mike, very important. Since Paris Blockchain, which I attended, I didn't have the same mystique as as Dubai's Token 2049, but very important nonetheless, because if you're, and this is public service, hopefully, if you guys aren't aware, so from April forwards, all of CASP, so crypto asset providers or token issuancers, sorry for butchering English, is not my main language, but all of this, now you have to take into consideration that you need to make your white papers compatible with the format that MiCA mandates, right? So, and this is kind of like a thing that can, if you're not aware of it, and if you just don't make yourself familiar with, even the Americans are helping the Europeans, because Ripple and Hedera Hashgraph, they created an association in Europe to help everyone to make themselves, compatible with the MiCA legislation and jurisprudence. So, make yourself aware of that.
That's just for stables, though, right? For like stable coins.
No. That's
every
the thing.
token.
Everything.
Token.
So it's a format that your white paper has to oblige by. Okay. Certain information has to be there, disclosures, etc., etc. Oh, and the worst part, by the way, this is just amazing.
Shit Europe makes us do.
Yes, of course. We rather have, by the way, so we have these amazing innovations. Look at this beauty. See
Oh,
yeah.
AI.
Only an AI could have created this innovation. Anyway, but the worst part is, for example, besides that, if you're, for example, building a DePIN solution, you have to have an Excel spreadsheet with what you think the amount of energy. So you know how cars have those, amount of kilograms of CO2 per mile.
Emissions.
You have to have that as well, which is ridiculous. Those, if you show those things to like, I'd say 99% of the European members of parliament, they wouldn't know anything about it. So it's just just for people to see and to pretend that we were very sophisticated regulators. So it doesn't really mean anything. So this is what we've been taking care of just before launch. But MiCA, very important to all the projects. So if you want Europe, obviously.
Wild.
Yeah, this is specifically important, and I love that Paulo touched base on this, because also for DePIN, we also need to be careful with the devices, making sure that governments that regulate it as a security, which, as far as my concern right now with MiCA, we're not. But also we need to also be very active and push forward for legislators to understand this, that a DePIN device is not a security, because if the moment it goes there, then it kind of ruins the whole vision. So very important, both for users that talk to the regulators, but us as projects too, to educate regulators to make sure that this doesn't happen. But I agree with Paulo. And Paris was a very I was also in Paris Blockchain Week. It was a very fun, very niche event. I didn't get to meet you, but I like smaller events now. Yeah,
I was there as well. I didn't meet either of you guys. We got to make more efforts in the future.
I'm also in Dubai. I was also in Dubai. Which event?
Oh no, we made it in Paris, but I was also in Dubai.
Okay.
Yeah, probably the events, right? You run around and you never kind of meet everyone.
Yeah, I missed out on Dubai this year. I was just back from Paris, and I was hemming and hawing about going, but in the end, I just decided not to. Kind of regretted it afterwards, because it seems like it was a really good event by all accounts, or all the accounts that I've heard. Token is one of the top events anyway, I suppose. But I wasn't sure if the Dubai one was anything like as good as the Singapore one. I think the Singapore one is still a lot bigger. Could be wrong.
Have you guys go to the main venue? Because I been there. Looks, there's only exchange there. There are like 30 exchanges there. No other projects. Wow.
That's probably because of how expensive it is. Exchanges are the only ones who are like, we can afford this. Like a $1 million listing fee for each project.
They can only make money in this kind of market, and they only can pay the money to them, right? So the token 2049 maybe become a exchange exhibition in future, right? So people just get
Well,
interesting.
Definitely.
I think it's a lot bigger than just the main event, right? There's like just this like side events for blocks in every direction, is my understanding.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was really hot too. And the main event, I don't know why this year they made half of it outside. I don't know, Steve, if you suffer, but I was like out there just sweating. I was kind
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
so,
difficult to survive outside, and the traffic. The terrible
oh my
traffic.
God. Yes, the traffic. Yeah. We should get some DePIN stuff for events. I always tell like DePIN folks, like we need DePIN apps for events where they tell you how to best move from event to event, get an AI agent. I'm pushing for AI agent to do that, create maps that are smart for you to hit all the side events and, try to avoid traffic as much as possible and all that. Because you waste a lot of time just moving from event to event.
Right. Yeah.
Or just centralize more the events a little bit, decentralize but centralize them.
Don't say that. Don't say the C word.
Sorry, I'll use another word. Let's join forces. Okay.
Yeah.
Collaboration.
That's a better
Take
C.
that out of context and say, look, IFX it wants centralization. There you go.
IFX are trying to centralize
Don't
things.
quote me on that. Yeah. No.
Very good.
But,
I liked Paris Blockchain Week. I thought that was quite interesting, but a lot smaller, obviously, than Token, and it was quite interesting. Do you think that we're just because we're talking about decentralization and exchanges and the bureaucracy? I mean, as I've been in this space since 2017, so I've been part of half a dozen teams at least that have been trying to work their way from. We have a project and we want to launch. And also, I feel like tokens have a totally different role now than they used to, at least at a public sale level. Like it used to be nearly like crowdfunding in the very early days, and now it's more like a marketing exercise to try and get exposure and awareness. Do you think? I feel like decentralized exchanges haven't really taken off in the same way that centralized exchanges have. Do you think that's a fair comment? Do you think exchanges is a space where
I think
just never going to get?
Yeah, one important thing is I bet you guys definitely use the DYDX or AAVE. The experience on the AMM system is not quite good at the order book system. So that's why the Hyperliquid get a success in this year or last year. But Hyperliquid is still a centralized exchange. Yeah, so that's the problem. I think, AMM, VS order book system, that will be challenging. If you found out a more efficient way to let people trading let them better experience, maybe will be better. I mean, so far I know that Uniswap V3 is try to solving that, or V4, right? Try to solving that, but I think the DEX, competitive with SEX is very difficult. Yeah, maybe in future it makes sense. Yeah.
Well, I think that's why Hyperliquid has been one of the reasons it's been so successful is because I think my understanding is they're technically a DEX, even though they provide a sort of a centralized kind of a experience, let's say, because it's all on chain, right?
Yeah. You feel, they let you feel like you are. It lacks a decentralized on-chain exchange, but actually it's a centralized exchange. But the experience is good. For the centralized, centralized exchange is if you use the Binance, use OKX, it's better than the Uniswap. I mean, you can buy different kind of.
100%.
Yeah. And also, I used to come from centralized exchanges, so there's a lot of practices that maybe I don't fully agree with, but something is the onboarding of users is very easy. It's like a bank. And also the backup, especially right now with so many regulations. So institutional traders can come in to centralized exchanges. They cannot use decentralized exchanges. You're not going to run the risk of losing your money through a poor built bridge or whatever. So that's definitely not going to change. I think in all our blockchain live, we're always going to have Sexes and Dexes because they need to complement each other. But something that Sexes have done really, really well is the easiness of onboarding, the flow. I think I don't know how many times I've try to teach MetaMask usage to my friends and family, and it's like, no, this is too complicated. Centralized exchange account, and it's like, oh no, I get this, and they can use it very easily. So I think that user experience in the centralized exchanges is still not there yet.
Yes.
You also have the problem of the illusion that the decentralized exchange is decentralized, which is an illusion for all intents and purposes, because DAOs still provide you the illusion of being a stakeholder. So because the idea is, okay, who's going to enforce something that is not aligned with the vision of the leadership? So it's kind of like it has to have an evolution. I'd say that DEXs are in a position where they're probably going to evolve to something akin between an actual, like a contemporary sex right now and a DEX in the future. So it's going to be something in between. But I'd say that's one of the problems. And the other problem is account abstraction has not been fully implemented, because if it's fully and very well implemented, you just delegate all the issues of accounting to, through an API to a third party. You're fine through your Apple account or Google or Facebook. That's fine. There you go. You're ready to go. So, it's still more catering to Web3 people. So, the things that we've discussed about onboarding Web2 people, this is almost an untapped market. It's like, okay, it's like what happened in Portugal with voting. It's like a lot of parties that were small, they grew a lot, but the current parties stayed the same. That was because most problems with voting is that most people don't vote in Portugal. So if you have more people voting, at least you can cater to them. So you cater to the most untapped potential. And I'd say that the untapped potential here is not Web3, because if you're an enthusiast, you're an enthusiast. It's Web2, guys.
Yeah. Great.
That's why, like Binance, they are doing the RFA. They have a centralized exchange, but they also do some DEXing on their side. They won't control your own. So the only thing you can use is Binance, and then I provide you the centralized experience. I also provide you the decentralized, DEX experience. That's what they want to do.
Well, there's definitely some things, especially when you're dealing with blockchains like Ethereum, where there's gas fees are they're a lot better than they used to be, but they're still very high for micro transactions. For small transactions worth.
Like Marina said, I asked my mother to have a MetaMask, and then they want to do the Uniswap, but they don't have the gas. So I also need to send some gas to him. Right, that's very difficult, very very difficult for normal people.
So it's easier solved if you're centralized. Does everybody on this call has their own token? Like, when I say their own token, I mean like each project has IOTX as a token sending. Have you actually launched Paolo, have you launched your token yet?
Not yet, especially because our mainnet, so we want to, because we're already okay, right? We went through the traditional, let's market first, let's get some VCs interested. So our public raise, let's say, which was not a public raise, was just get stakeholders, because our idea here is that because we get nodes, it's like having a DePIN device with all the MiCA stuff. It's like, and even with the Ripple case, right? So we have to make sure that the blockchain or the network is already built. So we're not using anyone's money or anyone's expectations for other people's work to be built. That has to be already there, and then we launch. So we're going to be launching soon, but we haven't launched yet.
Well, that's to avoid the security thing, to keep things utility, right?
Yes.
It makes things.
We have been launching them in 5 years. It's a long while. I remember the IOTX should be launched like 2020, right? Around 2020.
2019. So also but it's always the token part. I love it because it does incentivize, and at the end of the day, you want to incentivize folks and you want to create a very good ecosystem, but it also comes with a lot of hassles. You never stop handling those relationships with the exchanges, the market makers, institutional players. There's so much to handle every single day. So definitely something that never stops. But this also serves your community, and it's ultimately you do it because it's what feeds your community. So it's a very important part. And even though people say altcoin season is not coming back, once they see how centralized again stable coins are, altcoin season will be back. We just need to find that flow. you know?
Yeah, no doubt. I know. I think like people always need some. I mean, there's different parts. There's different personas in the crypto space in the Web3 population. From speculators to your degen apes and people who are actually doing fundamental investment as well as traders and that kind of thing. And that's a living market. So I think those people are always going to be looking for opportunities. Let's say I think alt season is an inevitability. We just need a little bit less. I feel like it's just the risk that changes, right? Like everything is either risk on or risk off, and then there's a spectrum of risk. And when our friend over in the US starts doing his 4D chess negotiations, everything seems way more riskier. So the spectrum shifts, and everybody's like, well, it was already risky before when there wasn't all that craziness happening. So now it's like, we're at a different level of risk. So yeah, I feel like that really messes things up a little bit, and I think that's kind of been I think that point of view has been supported by what's happened in the last sort of 3 months. But yeah, look, can't last forever. So fingers crossed we get to a point where Bitcoin profits flow down and the actual gains of we're building things, right? This isn't sort of a vaporware play. There's actual technology. It's in the world working for people. And, the more nodes, as the nodes grow, users grow, resources are more shared, demand grows on the DePIN network side of things. I feel like, it may be the first true utility token, DePIN tokens.
Yeah, and funny enough, our Bino, our AI agent, just let me know that Ms. Sari launched a report where it says that the DePIN market cap will reach 3.5 trillion by 2028. Yeah. So this is really nice to see the report. Yeah, I'll share here the link if anybody wants to check it. But yeah, it's definitely a good market for us, and the tokens go along with this. They're the base of everything. So yeah, excited to see what's happening.
It's the fuel that makes everything work. Incentives align and all that fun stuff. I mean, I think there's still a question mark about, I'm not sure what the right word is, like how tokens fit into the ecosystem, the economics of various different projects and their ecosystems. I think there's still possibly some questions that need to be answered in some cases, but that's just as an observer, an external observer. So yeah, look, okay, I think we're getting very close to the end of the road with the show today, guys. Do you want to any final words, any thoughts that you want to share about what you're working on, or if there's stuff that you want people to check out? And maybe Marielle, if you want to go first, and then Steve, and then Paolo.
Definitely. Okay. So I would like to take advantage. Obviously, we, as mentioned at the beginning, we have the new staking feature in DePIN with Hivelo being one of the projects that you can stake in. We also have the Learn and Earn campaign in DePIN So if you don't know too much about DePIN and you want to learn and at the same time earn tokens, go to DePIN learn about all the projects here. And we have a couple that we're on board in this week too. So yeah, very exciting. Come share with us. Obviously follow us on iText for any updates. And yeah, thanks for having us here. I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, very quick. So yeah, for my side, so we are really focused on, for Quantitative, we are really focused on decentralized storage. So we have different kind of tools for useful tools for person. I mean, we have like a personal Dropbox you can use. That's totally decentralized, and your files will be stored by our nodes over the world. And we are also the tools for the developers. People can use it like the bucket storage solutions for your develop projects works. And we are also together, I mean, with different public chain, with Ethereum, with BNB, Solana, near different kind of chains. We have like the EVM storage systems. So in this kind of public chains, so you can use our storage as the storage network to together with this kind of EVM system. And we are also like the latest news that we get a grant from the Town Network, which is Telegram. So we have Telegram to develop their Telegram storage market systems, and you can use that board. So if you go to the Telegram grant system, so you will see us. We are the only infrastructure grant, and specifically on the storage function. We are the only one who get this grant. Yeah,
that's amazing. So will you be doing decentralized storage for Telegram themselves?
Yeah,
or is it just for projects?
So
amazing.
Yes, for the Telegram. Yes, so you can use the boat called tongue bags, the boat. So at that boat, you have a tool, something like if you use WeChat or use like WhatsApp, there will be a auto like boat. So you can send the boat the file. So the file will store it on the boat side. That is storage is decentralized storage. And once you want it, you can click that boat and get the file back.
Cool.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That's awesome. I don't know if you guys heard a kind of, sorry, Paolo, I'm gonna get to you. I just heard this morning that Telegram got banned in Vietnam, because we have a dev team in Vietnam and we use Telegram a lot. So seemingly they just banned Telegram for some reason. Did you guys hear about that at all?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, obviously, it was noted by one of our team members that's actually based in Vietnam. So it just sent us a message, get through where? Sending. And said, let's capitalize on this, and rightfully so, obviously.
Yeah.
It's like, it was just, I don't know if it's still going on, but at least during that time, it was definitely something that happened.
Oh. So I don't know if that's the world cracking down or just Vietnam and some funny business there. But anyways, I guess we'll find out. I'm sure they have a reason. Just don't know what it is yet. So Paolo, do you want to give us your what's going on or final words?
Just really quickly. So you guys, please check us on X, sending_network, where you're going to find the latest news there, because we just finished our test net. We're on the road to mainnet, and please use sending.me, which is available on Android and iOS. Everything is free. We are not applying any kind of revenue model yet, so we just want users to test it out. It's an all-in-one application, live streaming, video messaging, video calls, and so on. So you can do all of that on a DePIN solution. So test it out, see how it goes. Hopefully we're gonna get everyone's interest, and that's all I have to say for right now. It was an amazing panel, by the way. Neil, congratulations! I've seen the post on LinkedIn, and apparently your stats have been growing quite a lot, impressively so. So congratulations, guys! You guys are doing an amazing job. And thanks. Amazing panel. It was a pleasure, everyone.
Thanks, Paolo. It's been great. Nodes of growing, uptime is growing. Events in our staking is growing, so I'm excited about the IoTex thing. All signs, at least at our level, point to consumers being super interested, because that's ultimately like where we join the dots, right? Velo is going out with an application that's consumer friendly, easy to use. You don't need to know anything about Web3. Any rewards you earn through the app, you'll be able to just withdraw them as cash into your bank account. That's the end goal, as well as tokens if you want to keep the tokens. But if you don't, for most people, I would imagine they'll just hit the send to my bank account, so this can offset some of the cost of my electricity bill or act as an extra income stream, etc. So I think we've definitely proven that on the consumer side of things, regular people are interested in what we're doing. So now it's about trying to match that with just marry it essentially to the demand side of things from our DePIN networks. So it's an interesting time. I think I kind of wonder, in the next 2 or 3 years, how different the world is going to look from today. I heard the guy, again, one of the founders of Google, talking about how they think the singularity is like 5 years away. So So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in the next 5 years? But I do think DePIN is going to be a massive player in that, and will be central to the whole thing. And whether that's humanity's future, or helping AI progress faster, or just providing more resilient systems and networks than we have right now in our very centralized world that we live in right now. So on those happy notes, I will say adieu. Thank you to all of our guests, and most of all, thank you to you, our viewers and our listeners. We will be back again next week with more insights from the DePIN world. Until then, thanks very much, and have a great week.
Bye, everyone.